Hey everybody, Mark Builds It here to talk about cold wallets. So the key difference between a hot wallet and a cold wallet is where your keys are stored and where the cryptographic math of authorizing transactions takes place. In a hot wallet, those seed phrases, your secret key is stored somewhere on your local computer. In a cold wallet, it's stored in a piece of hardware that is provided by the cold wallet manufacturer. The same holds true for the cryptographic math that happens on with a hot wallet. The signatures are happening inside the plugin or the application, whereas with a cold wallet, that's happening in the cold wallet itself, in the hardware, the third-party hardware. So if we go back to what happens when a transaction is authorized, the DApp or whatever third party you're interacting with that wants to do a transaction sends you a request for a signature by encrypting a message with your public key. It passes into the wallet. The wallet decrypts that message using your private key, creates the response with a bunch of cryptographic math, and re-encrypts it with your private key and sends it back out to the DApp, which then decodes it with your public key. And if it gets the response that it's looking for, then the transaction is authorized. So by storing your seed phrase in this piece of hardware that is not directly connected to the internet, you're not exposing your keys to anyone for to possibly compromise your wallet. So what are the advantages of a cold wallet? Well, your keys are never exposed. They're generated inside the piece of hardware, and they're stored inside the hardware, and they're locked in there. The computer is programmed in such a way that it cannot reveal those keys. And if that's not enough security for you, there are manufacturers that use QR codes to do the proof. So they'll send a message. You have to use them with a mobile device, but it will display a QR code on your mobile device. You'll use your cold wallet to snap a picture of it. Then it will generate a QR code in response, and you'll use your phone to snap a picture of that QR code, and it'll communicate that way. So it's a completely air-gapped system. There is no direct communication between your cold wallet and the internet. Another advantage that cold wallets offer is that some of them will allow you to make seed phrases that are 24 characters, 24 words long, which is, several orders of magnitude more secure than a 12-word seed phrase. Because the longer your secret number is, the harder it is for anybody to guess. So what are some of the drawbacks to cold wallets? Well, in order to perform a transaction that is either, sending out, that requires sending out cryptocurrency or any other token, you have to have the physical device in your possession. So you have to, if it's one that requires being plugged into or connected via Bluetooth to a mobile device or a desktop computer, then you have to have that device with you. You have to have the PIN number, or some of them have a fingerprint ID. You can't do anything with the assets stored in the accounts that are on that cold wallet without having that in your possession. So that can be a little bit of a hassle, and there's some extra steps, for approving transactions. It's not as simple as clicking approve on MetaMask. But that is the trade-off for higher security. So that seed phrase and that secret number completely stored off of the internet makes it pretty much impossible for anyone to steal. So there are, several manufacturers of cold wallets. The first one that I learned about was Trezor. Trezor has a form factor kind of like a key fob for a car. So you have your lock and your unlock buttons on those key fobs. So it's a little bit larger form factor, but it has a larger screen, so it's a little easier to see what's on the screen. There is Ledger, that they have a couple different models, but essentially they look like USB stick drives. The cold wallet that I mentioned that uses QR codes and is completely air-gapped from the internet, it's called Elipal, and I believe the model is called the Titan. It's a much bigger piece of equipment because it has a camera and a processor in it for the camera. It takes up a lot more space. And there's a brand called Descent that has the biometric, fingerprint that allows you to authorize transactions instead of having to enter a PIN code. So there are a lot of options out there. I kind of wish that I had started out with a cold wallet, because once you get into the workflow of using one, it's really not that much extra trouble. And if you have accumulated some assets, especially on Ethereum mainnet, in order to secure them in a cold wallet, you're going to have to pay gas to move them off of mainnet. To move them from one account to another, to the account that is stored on your cold wallets. I am Mark Builds It on Twitter, and tomorrow we're going to talk about some of the questions that I had a hard time wrapping my mind around with accounts and cold wallets. And once I understood them a little bit better, it kind of made things a lot easier to understand when it came to security. And that should wrap up our wallet talk.